This is a real treat for me. I'm at De La Salle, and we're joined by Scooter Berry. Scooter, tell us why we're here today. I mean, you're running camp.
Yeah, we have the second year of Berry Basic Training, which has been really fun. In collaboration with Leo Lopez here, the AD, and some of the local coaches, we've wanted to start a flow of getting into the community and getting kids to come to De La Salle, be able to play basketball with the varsity basketball players. And now with the new head coach, AJ Cool, coming in, it's kind of like the stepping stones to get started for him to run his camps for the next years. And we're really happy. You know, we've had a number of kids come through just in the 6 segments that we've had. And we've had good positive response from the parents and the kids. And you know, anytime I can get in a gym and work on basketball and try and teach kids some of the things that I know, it's fun for me.
Absolutely, and also the history. I mean, you're at the beginning. It starts with Steve Coccimiglio to Nessman to Renault to Laco, and now AJ Cool. And we can bring it up. I thought AJ's young, and he is. He's 32. How old was Coccimiglio, though? When he
Coach Coccimiglio was only 24, I believe, when he took over when I was playing here. So he was a young Chachi, they used to call him, because he had the dark hair, Italian kid, and all the girls thought he was cute. So he came in and really started the program new. When Bob Lattiser took over the football and Steve came in on the basketball, that's 2 of the youngest coaches, I think, in the Bay Area, and they built a heck of a program around it. So now we're reaping the benefits of that and seeing the growth, and it's fun for me to see players actually going to De La Salle to play basketball, which was, you only came here to play football when I was around.
Right.
So.
And the other thing, I was listening to you do the camp, but obviously I was out there in the breezeway, and something that brought memories to me was the CAL. That's long forgotten. Tell people that's when you played, what that was.
Yeah, the Catholic Athletic League. That was the great mixture between the Bishop O'Dowds and the St. Joe's and the St. Liz and St. Mary's and De La Salle. So we were one of the only schools on this side of the bay that participated in the league. And I think it was really beneficial for us to play against more of a city style of play than some of the programs that were out on this side. So. Yeah, I'm sad to see that break up, because I thought that was really a fun league and a competitive league. Both, well, for us in basketball, baseball was pretty competitive too, but I think football-wise there just wasn't as much of a challenge. So that's what forces things to change. Kind of like the football programs in the NCAA. You know, they generate more of the cash, so
Sure.
They're able to affect what teams are in the leagues.
Right. But also there was politics involved, and I talked to Terry Edson about this. And at first it was like, wait a minute, all these Catholic leagues are together. Catholic schools are together. This isn't fair. And then they broke us up. And the next thing they're saying, wait a minute, why are all these Catholic schools and public school leagues? And that's what we had. I mean, and for you, going back, it's years. It's before you went to Kansas. Where was the toughest gym to play in? Was it O'Dowd or?
Yeah, O'Dowd was hard. I mean, McClymonds wasn't in our league, but to go to the orange, you know, the orange dome, or what's it called? I don't know what the nickname was anymore, but it was like a cave, and it was bright orange in there. And we went and played, and I think we were, I don't know if we were ahead or down at halftime, but as we went into the locker room at halftime, we realized that someone had broken in through the top windows and gotten in and taken all of our stuff, and they slashed our tires on the bus. So it was a true kind of inner city experience for us. So that was one of the memories I have from high school, being a tough place. But all of them were tough, you know, Salesian. I had an interview on TV where my dad was on, and it talked about us, and so that made me a target. So we went and played Salesian right after that, and they were on me. You know, I dove for a loose ball and landed into the crowd, and all the football players were sitting in the front row, and they were just pounding me while I was in the stands trying to get to the ball. So it was some healthy, fun, you know, high school rivalries.
No, I talked to those guys. They said they were trying to get you back on the court.
Yeah, sure.
That's what they told me.
They were just pushing me back into the court with their fists. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think where else to go. I mean, it's years ago, but just the fact that you're back and you can be here with Coach Emilio and your brothers, you know, the history, and then maybe in the next segment, because people know, particularly it's been 40 years, and you were a ball boy on that 74,
right.
75, so everyone knows your dad, but they don't know the Hale side of the family.
Yeah, my mother's side of the family was a very successful basketball family as well. My grandfather, Bruce Hale, was a professional player. He played for the Fort Wayne Pistons, which was the early Detroit Pistons. And he was at one point considered one of the top 10 players of his time, and then went on and coached and actually coached my father at the University of Miami. So my dad met my mom by dating the coach's daughter at Miami, and my grandfather then moved on and became general manager of the Oakland Oaks, and he recruited my father along with Larry Brown and Doug Moe, who are both Hall of Fame coaches in the NBA. So we were forced to have to be basketball kids. I mean, not in a way that it was forced, but just because genetically we were just built to be around the game. We had both sides of the family having a rich we were at Pinky's Pizza the other day, and you mentioned if your grandfather were there, he'd be pulling out, like diagramming a play using what was on the table there. Salt, pepper shakers, cheese, whatever it is on the table, napkins. That would be the way he would set up plays and kind of review and analyze the early scouting reports of what we were doing and how we could do things differently on the court. And I think basketball knowledge is probably one of the things that all of my brothers and I have in common that maybe differentiated us from some of the other kids that were playing. We weren't necessarily the most athletic on the floor, but I think we were some of the most intelligent players from the standpoint of basketball knowledge.
Right, and that's the thing I picked up just talking. I don't know how we do it. Maybe I got to figure out Skype. I mean, just to be hanging out with you and your brother Drew, and because I know basketball, but I don't know what you guys know. And it was just fascinating to hear the conversation. And I'm trying to think what the question here is. That's it. Maybe that's it. The knowledge. I mean, you guys you're good players, but you know the game. I mean, you're almost born to know the game. Is that a good thing?
My grandfather was actually one of the 5 people that got together and orchestrated the idea for the three-point line. So, I mean, there's a rich tradition in my family on both ends of being part of major changes in the game. My father being an MVP and an All-American, and he'll be the only player to ever lead the NCAA, the NBA, and the ABA in scoring, because those leagues don't exist anymore, to all 3.
Right.
So no one will ever beat that record. Drew was laughing the other day because he has the all-time assist record at Georgia Tech. And he said, that'll probably stand forever, because now if you're any good, you only go to college for 1 year and you move on. So no one's going to get 700 and something assists in 1 year, so they're never going to be able to pass him.
Right.
So yeah, Brent wins the slam dunk contest in '95 and wins 2 championships with San Antonio. John plays for every team in California. He played for the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Kings. Played 14 years in the league. I have a national championship with Kansas playing for Larry Brown, and then went overseas and decided to stay over there rather than try and beat my head against getting into the league back when it was only 12-man rosters and everyone was a guaranteed contract. So it's an interesting, rich tradition. I even have a half-brother now, Canyon, who's playing at College of Charleston, who will be a junior from my father's new wife, and they I don't know, he finds a way to create boy basketball players.
And I like what you're berries on the vine. I mean, and there's your daughters here. That's the next generation. I was thinking also, it is also, for a while, was Cremens at College of Charleston?
Cremens was at Georgia Tech, obviously.
Well, I'm sure.
He had John and Drew who both played for him.
Right.
And then he went to College of Charleston and recruited Canyon.
That's my point.
Because all of us were late bloomers.
Right.
All of us were small, thin high school players that blossomed into better players after high school, even after college.
Right.
And so Cremens knew that going in because he'd already had the experience with John and with Drew.
Right.
So he said, "Oh, you kidding me? There's a Barry out there. I'll take him."